Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. Terra for Mars is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. Within the 21st century, overpopulation has ended up an unsolvable issue, so humankind makes a arrange to emigrate to Defaces. Be that as it may, since the ready planet isn't reasonable for human life yet, to begin with they got to terraform it, so they begin by sending greenery and other straightforward life shapes like cockroaches. A long time afterward in 2597, hoodlums Kamachi and Nanao are frantically running through the streets of Tokyo since the police are after them. They attempt to form a number of turns, but shockingly the cops before long encompass them. At that moment, a flying car lands before them carrying specialist Honda, who was observing his possessed introduction on how they have to be killed the insects sometime recently they can live on Defaces. His assistant focuses out that Kamachi and Nanao are being chased for doubt of second-degree kill, so they're the culminate candidates for their venture. Honda approaches the couple and takes them to his lab to form an offer. On the off chance that they go to Defaces to clean up all the cockroaches, they'll be paid well and their violations will be overlooked. The capture is that they'll have to go through an unsafe surgery to begin with. Kamachi to begin with denies since he doesn't believe Honda, but Nanao quickly signs up, so Kamachi acknowledges to connect to be with her. A long time afterward, Nanao and Kamachi are flying to Defaces with the entire group in a spaceship called Bugs 2. Jean is energetic to work out and inquires Kamachi for a fight. The coordinate closes in a tie, but Jean says he went simple on a beginner. At that point he tries to hit on Nanao. She turns him down, saying Kamachi freed her, but Ichiro giggles at the thought of this tallying as opportunity. Whereas Lee is eating bugs, Tezuka creepily approaches and sleeping Maria and startles her wakeful by sucking her hand, so Maria runs to her friend Osako for bolster. As the ladies walk by, Torimaru and Yashikane gaze at their bodies, so Asuka calls them out on it. At that point Nanao takes note something almost a team. Torimaru and Yashikane are Yakuza, Asuka could be a dirty cop, Tezuka could be a serial killer, Maria is an unlawful worker, Osako puts teenagers to do insidious work, Ichiro could be a programmer, and Lee could be a psychological militant. Considering how she and Kamachi were chosen, she ponders on the off chance that Honda as it were contracts hoodlums. In any case, Jean says he's just a kickboxer and most likely they were chosen since they're all in frantic require of cash. At that minute, Captain Dojima and Lieutenant Mina send everybody to their positions since they're about to arrive. The landing goes easily, and when they see out they take note damages isn't ready any longer. It looks like soil much obliged to the terraforming prepare. Mina dispatches a gadget with an effective chemical that will slaughter the insects, and Dojima splits the group to investigate the region and check the destruction handle is working. When Asuka is matched up with Yashikane, she tells Dojima she denies to work with the Yakuza and inquires to group up with Ichiro instead. Yashikane is insulted, but Dojima acknowledges the altar to dodge strife. After the team takes off, Dojima sends out a ramble that finds Bugs 1, a test sent by Japan in Mystery 10 a long time back. The captain contacts Honda to show him the test and tells him things are going well so distant, so Honda gets energized since in the event that the mission could be a success then he'll have the innovation to control the world. Meanwhile the diverse groups are as of now investigating, and Jean considers it's interesting they haven't found a single dead cockroach. However, he and Maria keep moving, but when they walk around a few rocks, they get the stuns of their lives. There are 3 interesting animals carrying clubs standing nearby. The team quickly covers up, feeling confounded since they weren't told anything approximately conceivable Martians. Not distant from there, Kamachi and Nanao moreover discover one of these animals. Kamachi tries communicating with it, but abruptly the animal assaults Nanao and snaps her neck. After dropping the body, it runs absent at a tall speed. At that minute Jean finds them and advises them the creatures moreover murdered Asuka. The complete team surges back to the ship, and after taking off Nanao's body in the restorative inlet, they go up against Dojima, who knew the truth all along. Humankind sent the insects to damages 500 a long time prior, and amid all the time they've been advancing at rapid speed much obliged to the radiation from space and other extraordinary conditions. The creatures the group saw are in reality the insects, which presently are more grounded than individuals, and the government called them Terra for Mars. The Gather is angry over being betrayed, but at that miniature Honda shows up within the outline of a visualization. He reminds everyone that they sold themselves for cash, which they had surgery a few times as of late coming, which wasn't done reasonable so they may breathe on ruins. It turns out that the strategy put bug DNA in their qualities that will convey them superpowers to add up to the mission. After telling everyone to fight the cockroaches, the visualization vanishes. A brief time afterward Dojima clarifies that to activate the powers, they must imbue themselves with the bug cell activator. The body will change, but it'll as it were final a number of minutes and they'll return to ordinary as long as they don't manhandle it. Within the occasion that they do, they'll kick the bucket. Dojima sends all the information to the crew's suits, which interfacing direct to their minds, and Tezuka considers this sounds like fun. The rest of the bunch isn't cheerful and Mina should know why Dojima didn't say anything, so he clarifies he had orders to keep it mystery. A couple of group people have to go back to soil, but at that moment the computer cautions them that the cockroaches are drawing closer the expedite. Lee volunteers to go out and battle them, saying once they're done here they can can go back and utilize their cutting-edge powers to actuate Vindicate on the government. While Lee goes out, the others learn that he combated inside the Mideast and was nicknamed the Undying God Lee, so cockroaches need to be nothing to him after surviving that. Once outside, Lee imbues himself with the activator, which gives him the powers of a bombardier creepy crawly. This bug mixes chemicals to form a little fly that reproduces a fire hurler. Lee's body changes into a mix of human and creepy crawly, and at that point starts engaging a cockroach, exchanging hits with the same speed and quality as the animal. Since the creepy crawly won't go down, Lee livelihoods his unused control and shoots effective blazes at the creature, heightening burning it. At the start with it looks like he won, but sometime recently long the creepy crawly recovers and quickly murders Lee. At the same time, another cockroach bounced on Best of the spaceship and begins hitting the ultra-tempered glass with its head to break it. At that point it comes insides and rapidly butchers two bunch people, so Dojima takes his infusion and gets the qualities of the paraponeric creepy crawly from South America. This bug can lift 100 times its weight and contains a stinger so troublesome that it feels like a bullet. Much obliged to this quality, Dojima easily smashes the cockroach onto the floor, killing it. Shockingly, the computer recognizes a whole accumulate of cockroaches drawing closer the transport. Osako considers why the creepy crawlies ought to kill them, and Maria clarifies it since they ought to butcher them, as well as she reviews the essential she saw a cockroach and killed it fair sense. Most of the team should go back to soil. In any case, Mina finds that the control board is dead and the fortification system doesn't work either. Dojima rapidly comes up with a range. The Gather will go to the Bugs 1 and bring all the basic parts to settle Bugs 2, whereas he remains to fight the cockroaches. By utilizing the dead creature's pheromones, he'll draw on all the other cockroaches so the Gather can travel safely. A couple of men require to stay and offer to help the captain, but Ichiro tells them to take off since he'll be the one to remain. As the cockroaches start climbing the transport, the Gather makes their way out, but Kamachi to begin with stops to visit Nanao, promising he'll come back for her. A few times as of late clearing out, he takes note of few abnormal strings coming out of her mouth. The group gets interior the rover. As a result, it'll have to be traveled through a store of creepy crawlies. Tezuka volunteers to battle. He takes his mixture and gets the DNA of the meander frightening crawly, who can shoot out shots of gas at an foe to at that point evade at uncommon speed. When Mina opens the door, there are tons of cockroaches holding up, so Tezuka gets on the vehicle's roof and shoots gas at them, opening the way for the drifter to elude securely. Back on the ship, Ichiro gets his mixture and changes reasonable in time for the cockroaches to break in. Be that because it may, though Dojima fights, Ichiro runs to cover up. Progressively creepy crawlies keep on coming, and as Dojima keeps on engaging, he recalls the day Honda chosen him. Back then Dojima nearly destroyed his career by punching a predominant, but Honda promoted him to be a captain once more in trade for bringing back an egg from harms. In the long run the insects are as well various to fight, so Ichiro seals the complete alacrity, pulverizing some cockroaches with the closing entryway. At that point he vacuums out the oxygen inside the transport, so all the cockroaches interior before long kick the bucket of suffocation. There are a number of that oversee to keep up the battle, and Dojima never stops going against them, but in the long run the need of disgust thumps him and Ichiro out as well. In the meantime, Jean inquires Kamachi around his relationship with Nanao, and Kamachi considers around what happened the day they were selected. After losing her mother, Nanao got to be a casualty of her stepfather's mishandle, who made her offer wicked administrations for cash. One evening Kamachi found him hitting Nanao and came to her protect, effectively incapacitating the fellow and landing 2 great hits. The man didn't care since Nanao was still lawfully his, but whereas he was diverted, Nanao snatched the cut he dropped and cut him. Needing to ensure his sweetheart, Kamachi rapidly took the cut from her and cut the man different times to create it see like he did it. Back within the display, Kamachi inquires Jean why he came to defaces, and Jean clarifies he has nothing cleared out since his as it were companion kicked the bucket of an ailment. At that minute, the group interior the meanderer sees something enormous drawing closer them, nearly like a gigantic torrent, but it's really a gigantic wave of cockroaches. Mina pushes the meanderer through the wave as Tezuka continues to shoot gas, causing parts of cockroaches to urge crushed against the windows. The meanderer securely makes it through and they celebrate, but tragically they at that point see a moment and greater wave coming. Since Tezuka won't be able to handle this one alone, Maria and Osako take their infusions to convert as well. Osako gets the powers of the hard-shell weevil from Okinawa, which encompasses a shell so difficult that not indeed an elephant can pulverize it. Maria could be a rainbow stag insect, who has an extraordinary camouflage shell that cheats the foe. Once they're transformed, both ladies connect Tezuka on the roof and act as a shield for him. This makes a difference the wanderer go through, but after crossing the wave, the vehicle flips and crashes, thumping everybody interior out and hurling the trio to the ground. Abruptly the wanderer turns on the autopilot on its possess and drives absent, taking off the trio behind. The cockroaches before long encompass them and in fair a matter of seconds murder all 3 of them without leniency. Minutes afterward, the group wakes up and finds there at the Bugs 1, uninformed that there's a ramble observing them adjacent. Toramaru and Yashikane remain outside to guard the entrance, whereas the others enter the ship to explore, but when Mina tries to run a demonstrative, they're stunned to find the ship's computer is transmitting information to somebody on soil. At that minute, they listen discharges and run exterior as it were to find Yashikane and Toramaru have been killed. Yashikane was a plunging creepy crawly and Toramaru a mole cricket, but they never got to use their capacities to look submerged and underground. Abruptly a bunch of cockroaches come out of covering up, uncovering they know how to utilize the weaponry they took from the Bugs 1. Back to the Gather, Kamachi chooses they must battle and takes an infusion to change into the Asian monster Hornet from Japan, which is the bug with the most note noteworthy yearly coincidental passings. It assaults without warning and not at all like bees. It can sting over and over. With these powers, Kamachi effortlessly punches gaps through the roaches' bodies, slaughtering them without breaking a sweat. Before long, Jean chooses to assist and takes the infusion to end it up a migratory locust, which has the foremost capable legs within the bug world, competent of bouncing up to 90 stories tall. As he slaughters cockroaches with superbly landed kicks, Mina changes into the giant Asian mantis, which has sickle-shaped legs that slice through everything. Working together, they oversee to murder all the insects, but as the haze clears, they're stunned to see a pyramid adjacent. Meanwhile, there's a cockroach observing the bugs too from a far distance. All of a sudden, it uncovers it can speak and incorporates a phone, which it uses to call Honda and tell him everything is reaching to a range. Honda exhorts it to remain absent from Kamachi in the event that he changes, since his bug is horrendous. After hanging up, the cockroach goes interior the transport and enacts the oxygen once more, sometime recently indicating a weapon at Dojima, calling him captain. When Dojima ponders what's going on, the creature's body parts in two and appears a mutated Asuka interior. She's an emerald cockroach wasp whose stinger permits it to control roaches' minds. When she was about to urge slaughtered, she controlled the creatures and made them fight each other. It turns out both Asuka and Ichiro have been working for Honda in mystery all along. Asuka continues to slaughter Dojima and after that tosses a few water at Ichiro, whose changes come from the resting chironomid from Central Africa. This bug never kicks the bucket, since when it's in danger, it enters a state of stasis and it only needs water to wake up. Once Ichiro is wakeful, he and Asuka check on the egg that they must recover for Honda, which may be a second-generation cockroach, whereas Ichiro works on reactivating the dispatch, Nanao's body, and proceeds to discharge parcels of that white string. The enactment of Bug 2 is seen by Kamachi and the others right sometime recently. The ramble uncovers itself, which is being controlled by Honda. He much obliged the trio for all the fight information he's assembled and uncovers Ichiro was the one to disrupt the transport. After telling them almost Ojima's passing, Honda clarifies that the case from Bug 1 did return to soil and brought a cockroach head with it. He drawn closer the government to offer the plausibility of utilizing the cockroaches as super warriors and got authorization to explore with hoodlums, since standard space explorers had ethics. The genuine mission has continuously been to recuperate the egg, not to slaughter the insects. The pyramid they saw is clarified by hereditary memory, and insects are outsiders that utilized humankind sometime recently, moving to damages coordinated by those qualities. At that minute, Ichiro gets prepared to take off as he starts recalling why he acknowledged his mission. He had parts of kin and a debilitated mother, but they lived in destitution. Ichiro had been working on Vital Inquire about that he may offer with his professor's recommendation later and be wealthy. Tragically, the teacher set Ichiro up to create it see like he assaulted an associate, so he was ousted. On the other hand, Asuka joined the extend for the control. All of a sudden, the egg begins to bring forth early, giving birth to two cockroaches. Asuka tries to utilize her control to control them, but it doesn't work since this moment era is indeed more advanced. As Bugs 2 takes off, the animals effectively murder Asuka and call the other insects for offer assistance. Before long, all the cockroaches on the ground discharge their wings and fly to the dispatch, causing it to break down. As a motor detonates, the insect's interior assault Ichiro, who rapidly infuses himself to enter the stasis state. After parts of shaking, Bugs 2 crashes close. Bugs 1 and the cockroaches assault the trio, who rapidly change to battle back. At the begin with, it goes well, but at that point the advanced cockroaches from the egg connect the fight, hitting much more quicker and unequivocally. Mina before long gets slaughtered with her claim arm, so Jean infuses himself with a moment measurements that creates him see more bug-like. Kamachi does the same, and presently the battle is more reasonable, permitting both men to kill lots of cockroaches speedier. Jean chooses to require a third dosage and creates wings, which permits him to battle insects within the sky and crush them against the dispatch. Tragically, the cockroaches keep coming and the folks are getting tired. Overlooking Kamachi's notices, Jean takes more dosages, which won't permit him to gotten to be human once more afterward. He assaults one of the advanced insects and wounds its stomach with a leg, at that point beheads it with a kick. In any case, he's moreover come to his constraint, so he falls depleted to the ground. Kamachi surges to secure Jin's body, but the other advanced cockroach gets his stingers and breaks them both, so presently Kamachi's punches do not do anything. When it appears it's all over, abruptly an enchanted gleaming animal shows up flying towards them and starts spreading a gleaming dust all over the range. It turns out this is often Nanao, who has changed into a silkworm moth. She has the control to set fire to powdery moth scales, which is able before long make a clean blast. Jean focuses out usually to give up to spare them, so Kamachi tries to ask Nanao not to do it, to the point he creates wings and begins flying to her. At that minute, a cockroach fires at him and triggers the clean, causing an enormous blast. As all the roaches begin to pass on, Jean flies up and spares Kamachi fair in time, but Nanao passes on once more. The blast 2 makes Bugs 1 shake and a glass of water falls on Ichiro's confront, waking him up. There's an insect behind him that's around to assault, but Ichiro recollects the guarantee he made to his mother and violently kills the animal to outlive. Inevitably, Jean can't fly any longer and both men drop to the ground. When Kamachi wakes up, he sees Jean has totally turned into an creepy crawly, but he can still conversation. Jean tells Kamachi to go to soil without him and survive to Anananao's give up. At that minute, Kamachi sees there are some insects that survived, including an advanced one, but they're lovely powerless. Kamachi punches the evolved cockroach, but rather than murdering it, he decides to let it go. A while later, Kamachi enters the dispatch and finds Ichiro is still lively. He calls him a backstabber and tries to assault him, but Ichiro takes out a weapon and murders a cockroach that's about to murder Kamachi. Coming to a detente, the duo finds the escape pod and flies back to Soil. The cockroaches need to go after them, but the advanced one stops them. In the meantime on Soil, Honda takes note that Ichiro has hacked into his framework to broadcast the truth to the full world. In any case, Honda doesn't care. He'll fair go into stowing away for whereas, and at that point discover another government to offer his thought to. His assistant suddenly uncovers she's been working for the Japanese government all along and tries to shoot him, but Honda features a defensive boundary that stops the bullet. Then he tosses a mechanical creepy crawly that slaughters her. Within the spaceship, Ichiro swears to expose everyone included within the mission, while Kamachi says that he will make graves for their crew and after that come back to Mars. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.